Hello again everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today's video is somewhat of a follow-up to my previous public service announcement. I received a ton of comments, feedback and well wishes on my last video. So before diving back into the flight simming content, I wanted to take this opportunity to share some of my thoughts, opinions and conclusions based on that discussion, and also clarify a couple of points that were raised in the comments section. We are, during this video, also going to be talking about where I'll be taking the channel going forwards. So sit back, relax and enjoy the scenery as we chatter our way here along the coastline. First and foremost, I want to extend a huge thank you to everybody who commented on my previous video. Your kind words, encouragement and thoughtful insight did truly mean a lot. As I've mentioned before, it's easy to get caught up in the grind of producing content here on YouTube. But seeing how engaged and passionate this community actually is has been a great reminder of why I do what I do, and it's also been very heartwarming to know that many of you still value the channel and its content, even as the mood around the hobby itself has shifted over the past few months. Hearing from all of you has been fantastic, and it's helped me put this channel and my work here on Into the Blue simulations into perspective. I think as well, to some degree, it's also given me a renewed vigour with regards to making content. I think a good place to start the video proper then is by talking a little bit more about Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. In my previous video, I speculated that the release of the new sim might well have contributed to the downturn in my channel's viewing numbers. One thing that became quite apparent from your comments is that Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, given its somewhat haphazard state, has soured the hobby for many of you. And quite a few of you, I believe, have actually taken a leave of absence from flight simming altogether, at least until the new platform sees meaningful improvements. In terms of realism, I think it's fair to say that Asobo has actually taken some retrograde steps in certain areas, and arguably they also jumped the gun with regards to the streaming-only nature of the new sim, an aspect of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 that I know many of us do find frustrating. As it stands, therefore, the user base does seem to be rather split between 2020 and 2024, and this division has fragmented the community, developers, the add-on market, and as well the hobby more generally. For now, I completely understand why many of you are holding off before committing to the sim and or the hobby again, and to some degree I am in the same boat myself, pun intended. Speaking though of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, that does bring me on to an important point that I wanted to cover. Many commenters on my last video suggested that this channel was no longer of interest to them because they've chosen to stick with 2020 for the time being. Just to clarify, I am still making 2020 content. In fact, my last 6 Microsoft Flight Simulator videos were primarily recorded in 2020. So for what it's worth, content featuring the old sim is far from dead here on the channel. Going forwards, you'll continue to see a mix of sims featured, and to reiterate, I have no plans to stop making 2020 content anytime soon. Looking ahead, I also want to outline my plans for the channel's future. As I mentioned previously, work and family life have made it increasingly difficult to dedicate quality time to YouTube. On top of that, I also think it's fair to say that I have been feeling a little bit burnt out recently. In my previous video, I outlined a number of options with regards to where I might take the channel, and your kind feedback in the comments has been incredibly helpful in guiding my next steps. For now, my plan is to release one full fidelity video per month. I haven't decided whether or not that will be on a fixed date, but most likely I'll simply plan for the first of each month. These videos will focus on add-ons, flights and scenarios that are of interest to me. I also want to potentially explore more of the history and stats behind the aircraft that I feature, along as well with a more detailed breakdown of the procedures and techniques used to fly them. Essentially, each video will be a tribute to the aircraft in question, somewhat like an airfix kit within the sim, and hopefully each video will teach you some new flying techniques and procedures along the way. For example, I plan to cover the Churchilla Tupolev Tu-134, the Felis 747-200 and the CamSim B-25 among others. Those examples are of course all within X-Plane, but rest assured I will continue to produce content for all the major sims, and I am still planning on Microsoft Flight Simulator content accounting for at least 50% of my future output. Alongside these monthly videos, where appropriate, I'll continue to review add-ons that pique my interest, For example, I had planned to cover the CSS 737 Classic recently, but unfortunately we all know how that one's turned out thus far. With this schedule in place, I hope to strike a much better work-life balance alongside of YouTube, and the additional time between uploads will also potentially give me the opportunity to refine my videos further still. Hopefully these changes will keep both YouTube and flight simming enjoyable for me, while also helping my videos appeal to a broader, although not perhaps as numerous of an audience. It is very important to me, and it seems to many of you as well, given your comments, that my content remains of a high quality, and even though the YouTube algorithm will punish me for it, I would rather go with quality over quantity. Speaking of the YouTube algorithm, I wanted to very briefly discuss a few points regarding that as well. Another comment that I received quite a lot on my previous video is that YouTube hasn't actually been recommending my content to you of late. This doesn't come as any huge surprise to me given the sizable reduction I've seen in viewer numbers, but many of you did seem a little bit perplexed by this fact, so I thought it'd be worth taking the time to clarify what is most likely going on. For those of you who don't know, the YouTube algorithm can often be a pretty toxic set of rules to work under, and I think it is probably the single biggest culprit when it comes to YouTuber burnout. Without going into too much detail, when recommending one of my videos to a viewer, YouTube takes into account a number of different factors. One such factor and viewing habit that certainly does come into play is that if you skip watching one or two videos suggested from this channel, YouTube in its infinite wisdom will take that as a sign that you're no longer more broadly interested in the channel's content, and will likely stop recommending content from the channel altogether, even if you are subscribed. In many regards it is a pretty ridiculous system, as of course it might not be that you want to watch every video I produce, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the channel is no longer of interest to you. So with that being said, if you do want to combat this side of the algorithm's logic and keep abreast of all of the content that I put out, even if understandably you don't perhaps want to watch all of it, there are really only two ways of circumventing the current limitations of the system. As cliche as it is to say, and I must stress this is only a suggestion for those of you who feel the above applies to you, your best bet is 1. Making sure you are subscribed to the channel, and 2. Clicking on the notification bell, making sure you hit all, and that way you will be alerted when any new video of mine goes live. Further to that, if you really want to stay connected, chat with some other flight sim enthusiasts and or contact me directly, then why not consider joining the channel Discord? It is completely free, there are already a good bunch of guys over there, and I also post notifications regarding new videos and upcoming releases. The link to my Discord is down in the video description below. Something else that I am considering, given the channel's probable shift in direction, is somewhat of a rebrand of Into the Blue Simulations. I've certainly not come to any conclusions on this one just yet, but if I do want to rebrand the channel, now would seem like the best time to do so, given the interest in the channel being at a relatively low point. I'd certainly be interested to know what you think of the Into the Blue Simulations branding. Right now, do you think the channel's branding clearly reflects what Into the Blue Simulations is all about, or does it leave too much ambiguity about the type of content that I create? Do you think perhaps a catchier or more obvious channel name would be of benefit, or do you think the channel name is just fine and already perhaps too well established at this point? Again, it's just an idea for now, but I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Should I keep the branding as it is, or refine it to better represent the direction of the channel, the type of content that I'm looking to produce, and perhaps as well indicate my real-world experience, etc. Lastly, and before I forget, a number of you asked about the sailing simulator that I featured in my previous video. I'm sure that many of you did recognise the sim in question, but believe it or not, as with this video, we are in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. It is quite amazing what can be done in the sim, and to some extent you can use Microsoft Flight Simulator as a relaxing boating experience. However, for any of you that were hoping for a deep nautical simming experience, you certainly won't find that here. With regards to sailing, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 has serious limitations. The water physics range from basic to downright broken, and there's no sailing mechanics to speak of. All the boats that I've come across are powered vessels, but hopefully that does clarify things for a few of you at any rate. Anyway, that just about wraps things up for today. Once again, thank you very much to all of you for your time, feedback, and your continued support of the channel. These two videos and the associated comments that I have received have been fantastic and definitely helped me regroup somewhat in terms of my passion, dedication and desires for the channel going forwards. With that said, I promise that normal service will be resumed in the next video. No more boating, we'll get back out for some proper flying. So do stay tuned for some more flight simming adventures. To all of you, I hope you're having a great day wherever you are. Take really good care, and I will see you all again soon.